I'm Jordan Taylor, the CEO and co-founder of Medley. Medley is a leadership development company that drives transformation for organizations, primarily through group coaching. Abigail, as our head of coaching, who's been coaching for 10 plus years with deep expertise in groups, could you give some examples of some of the power of the group experience that you've seen?
Yeah, of course. So what I really love is being surprised as a coach and facilitator. Sometimes you don't know exactly what's going on in the room, and afterwards you'll get an email and it will be someone saying, hey, thank you so much. This was so transformative. I'm owning my strengths in a different way. I'm able to talk about my weaknesses. I'm advocating for myself. I feel less alone. And those words and those emails and those testimonials speak for themselves. But when you really pause and think about it, you realize, wow, this person has unarmored themselves, connected with a group of peers in whatever space they might be in. They've taken a really deep look at who they are, what they know, what they don't know. They've unlearned, they've learned, and they've done that in a vulnerable space that changes how they show up everywhere.
Absolutely.
So Jordan, how did Medley decide to use group coaching as the format for impact in the work that we do?
I have always been someone who has had my most formative learning and growth experiences in group spaces. So as a kid, I played every sport under the sun. I was the kid who loved group projects. In college, I even joined the crew team when I was a junior because I missed it so much. And I actually found in my adult working world, it was really hard to find that sense of team. It was hard to find that space to practice and to show up consistently with others. And the insight for Medley actually came from a leadership development course that I took in my last semester at Harvard Business School. It was called Authentic Leadership Development, and the bulk of the learning took place in groups of 6 that met for 2 hours every single week over the course of the semester. And it was absolutely transformative for me. I mean, it expanded my own self-awareness, my understanding of other people, my sense of perspective, and also sparked the insight that so many more people could benefit from this type of learning and this type of group experience. And so as I was graduating, I was thinking about what to do next. I first dove into research and understanding, where did groups exist? Where were they really moving the needle? And I found that they existed in executive spaces. So, CEO forums, that type of thing. A lot of group programs existed to support people around addiction. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of groups also existed even in a religious context. And so I was seeing this and thinking,
I know this works.
Yes, it's very clear that there's something really special when people come together and learn with one another. And so I thought, I think there's room to bring this type of group experience and coaching to a broader audience. I had no idea what the business was going to be. I had been keeping my mother, Edith, in the loop. She was coming out of a 30-year career in financial services, including 10 years as CHRO of Goldman. And she actually had the idea to do Medley with me because she saw the need from an organizational perspective. And so, we've been building the business for the past 7 years. We've been working with some of the most incredible companies in the world.
Yeah,
and I really have been motivated by the impact that we're seeing, not only in the group level, but also on a systems-wide level throughout the organization. I mean, groups are complicated. Don't get me wrong. People have very different expectations going into a group. People have previously very positive or negative group experiences. And so we spent, 3-4 years actually just iterating and trying to pull apart the puzzle of what it takes to deliver an incredible group experience in a scalable, high quality way.
Thanks so much for sharing that. It's so resonant. And I also feel like my most powerful growth opportunities and moments have been with teams.
Yeah.
The context that we're working in now is so different than even 2 years ago, especially 7 years ago when you founded Medley. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I mean, it is very clear we are in a collective moment of transformation, in particular as how it relates to AI. AI is transforming every organization. I spend a lot of my time engaging with CHROs and chief people officers, in addition to incredible leaders leading talent at various organizations. And it is absolutely top of mind for all of our partners. That said, I do think there's different approaches, and which makes sense because every organization is different and shouldn't have a one-size-fits-all solution to AI. It relates to, what is the organizational culture like? What is the regulation in the industry? What are people's mindsets as it relates to AI? And at Medley, that's where we're really seeing incredible impact. So what is your perspective on an AI-ready mindset? What does that mean?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Okay. So as a coach, an AI ready mindset to me is like, I am willing to embrace what is here, to have it be in service of the work that I do, the leader I'm becoming, and the team in which I work and the outputs that we have. I think really fundamentally when I'm in an AI conversation in a coaching space, it's a really beautiful opening for what people are afraid of and to actually look at that head on without judgment, without trying to avoid it and say like, let me actually look at that. Take whatever like wisdom or powerful message is here for me, but also examine it and shift and find a new mental model, a new way to relate to this thing, which is AI. And for me, I think that is actually the crux of really powerful coaching. What is your relationship to a thing? How do I examine my relationship to a thing and shift it so it is more productive, so it is more efficient, so it is more effective? And to do that, and I'm very specifically around your relationship to AI and AI tools or a company's stance on AI, is not only supporting you and your work, but it's changing how you respond to fear, uncertainty, and how you navigate yourself in that type of environment, which to your point has become the new normal. Like change, ambiguity, this is where we work now.
Yeah, I think that's right. You don't just need to give people the tools. It's not just about access to Copilot or ChatGPT or Claude. That's sort of a base level and certainly important and impactful. But you can have all the trainings in the world out there showing people how to use AI tools. And if people don't fundamentally want to use them or recognize the power and importance of changing how they work and how they operate, it's all going to fall flat. And so the role of a manager as a result is incredibly challenging because you are not only trying to learn a new skill set and learn a new job yourself and work on your own mindset, you have to support your team throughout all of this. And you need to be able to lead your people through change, which, Medley groups have been really effective at giving people space to sort of process everything that's going on, as well as build some of the critical leadership skills that are needed to support and lead throughout this period.
Yeah. And you actually hit on it. I hear so many leaders talk about how am I supposed to support other people in the shift towards AI when I'm still unsure or scared and I can't answer their question about what it means for their job or what it means for mine. And that level of uncertainty and meeting moments of change is such a large conversation really for the last year and a half, and it's getting bigger. You also spoke about the Medley group space being a place where you can process. And I've noticed like while tools and frameworks are still incredibly important for the work that we do, people are really putting a more emphasis on the value of being able to actually just move through the questions or the uncertainty and confusion or complexity of AI and just change and how that relates to each of their individual contexts with a group of other people, to not be doing that alone. And so many people say like, wow, I'm not alone. And that can support in a mindset shift of, okay, I got this. What is the opportunity in the tool, in the shift that my company's making? How does that actually support me, elevate, leverage me and my work rather than take away? The other thing it makes me think of is when you put a group together, it's actually a microcosm for the world that we live in. So all the complexities you're talking about is actually an added benefit of the group because you get to be practicing the different skills, essential leadership skills or vulnerability, communication in a space that mimics what you will be operating in, whether that's your community, your family, or your work.
Yeah, and especially in a work context, I absolutely think that and see that the group dynamic is a powerful space to actually practice different skills because it is a container and it is very similar to how you're operating in the workplace outside of your Medley group. And so, it's been really interesting for us as we've built out our community of coaches, as we've really nailed down that expertise because it is that blend of being able to, leverage the group dynamic, being able to provide group coaching in a traditional sense, being able to integrate content into the experience. And it's been amazing to see our coaches really lean into our approach and so that we can have that consistency.
Yeah, it's my favorite part of the job, I think, is probably working with the coaches and delivering the impact that they can.
Yeah. I would love if we could double click deeper into that. what's happening in a group that is representative of a broader system or organization?
Yeah, such a good question. So when I think about a group that's working really well together, you have a group of people who are super present with themselves and one another. And in that, there's lots of different skills happening. One of my favorites is global listening. So I feel like that's a really good example where I'm not only listening to what you might be sharing as one of my group members, but I'm listening to how it's relevant to me, which is supporting my growth as an individual. It's supporting me and understanding where you're at and what I might have to offer and contribute to you. And it's this idea of listening to understand rather than to respond. And that's one of the most important things that we are supporting in our group sessions. And when you think about how that ripples out into an organization, you have managers or individual contributors or executives who are listening for not only what's being said, but what's under the surface, what people might need. You start to put together patterns or connections that when you're moving at a different speed, you're going to totally miss. And when you have you have a lot of people in an organization doing that, you're making smarter decisions, you're taking informed risk, and you're also operating more as humans. Like there's a level of connection there instead of, okay, do, this is our work, we have to do X, Y, and Z, but rather, hold on, what's actually here and how do we decide to step forward, which I think is invaluable for companies today, especially given the landscape we find ourselves in.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes clients will ask me point blank, why is your group coaching different? And why is it better than something we could do in-house or from another provider? Mm-hmm. How would you answer that question?
Ooh, I want to hear your answer too. But I would answer that by saying, one, I think to your earlier point, we've spent a ton of time up front understanding what makes a group mesh well together. We use technology and what we know about humans to actually create the conditions of a group that will work well. So I think that is already a lot of steps ahead than how most people think about it. But I also think that there's a high level of intentionality where we are working directly with a partner to say, hey, what is it that you're really wanting to achieve? You're making a huge investment in your people and in us. So you're trusting us. So we can design a curriculum arc that will actually speak to and create the outcomes that they have identified as most important, while still also being able to meet the people that will be in the group. And I think that connection of working directly and deeply with the partner and then meeting the participants where they're at with an expert facilitator coach is kind of like a dynamite combination when you really think about it. Can you share what you say when folks ask what makes our groups different?
Absolutely. We've actually developed a matching algorithm that helps us match groups so that they're best fit, balancing the organizational goals, individuals' growth areas, and then also what we know best about group dynamics. And so that all comes together, enabling us to match a cohort of 500 leaders in a matter of a couple of hours. And the whole cohort is matched in a way that's achieving the organizational goals, whether that's more cross-functional collaboration, inter-office collaboration, within an office, having more connection if there's a wide geographical spread, and of course, logistics. So we figured out who needs to be in the group. Mm-hmm. Part one.
Yeah, huge.
From there, the coach's expertise. So our approach really is a blend of facilitation, coaching, and even moments of one-on-one coaching. And so we aren't just taking the best one-on-one coaches and asking them to coach a group. In fact, all of our coaches have been working with groups for 5+ years, and then we also have our Medley-specific onboarding and then partner-specific onboarding as well. And we've really honed this expertise down so that we're able to have that consistency of an experience.
So how do we match a group to optimize for success?
So when we're matching a group, we're optimizing for business goals and then the social and task cohesion of the group. Medley groups are always with people who don't work together in their day-to-day, and that's so that we're able to have a better group experience across business goals, social cohesion, and task cohesion. So people are able to form new relationships around social cohesion and they like each other. Task cohesion is really how productive and effective the space is from a learning standpoint. And when we're able to match people who have similar growth areas and gaps and opportunities for learning, it's more powerful. And then from a business goals standpoint for the cohort, if one of our goals is actually driving driving cross-functional collaboration and communication, we can match groups around that too. And so what we've seen is the best groups really have as much overlap as possible from a growth areas perspective. And then actually from a social cohesion standpoint, we've seen that having a more balanced group and having different perspectives and different styles of how people actually like to engage is ideal for an optimal group dynamic, enabling the group to connect with one another and form that effective learning space. But Abigail, you're in the room. What does it feel like when a group really clicks? And what is that experience like?
Yeah. So I feel like when I see a group really click, it's one, like the most exciting feeling for a coach to see it happen. You'll see people offering perspective, but from a really non-judgmental space. You'll see people asking, like bringing in curiosity, asking deeper questions. So understanding not, okay, you have a problem, how do I solve it? How do I fix it? But actually, oh, I hear what you're saying. Here's how that relates to me. It makes me think of this X, Y, or Z question. And for me as a coach, when I see a group starting to take on each other and asking each other questions rather than looking to me, that's how I know what we're up to will be a sustainable shift.
And we see that in the data too. When we do our midpoint, endpoint surveys, when participants are saying, I learned so much from my colleague that I never anticipated. And they'll say the coach did an amazing job of creating space for us. Those types of things where the coach almost fades into the background of the experience.
Exactly. Yeah. And the other thing I love about groups when they're working well is when I'm sharing or I'm working with someone as a participant, that's for me and that other person, but it also, everyone else in the group is also gaining a collective expertise, experience, and perspective.
Yeah.
That's also furthering them. So it's such an exponential way to stretch, because what you're going to bring to the room isn't going to be what I bring to the room, but what you bring to the room is going to change how I lead and how I move forward in my work just by seeing where you're at and watching you move through that conversation.
I mean, this might be a hot take, but I actually think group coaching can be more effective for building self-awareness, for building interpersonal skills, and for expanding your perspective than one-on-one coaching.
Yeah, I love the hot take, and I don't disagree.
It's not that crazy, considering I run a group coaching company.
I think it is a hot take because I think it can feel, often people have less experience with group coaching. It would be more common to run into a leader who has worked with a one-on-one with a coach before. So I understand why people might feel like, okay, but one-on-one is going to be more personalized. It's going to meet me where I'm at, and it's going to be super specific to where I am, which is all true. And it's incredibly valuable. And when you put group coaching and one-on-one coaching together, like that's when we're really talking. It's exciting. But the thing that group coaching can do that one-on-one coaching simply cannot is that it takes that relational mirror, and instead of having it be two-way, it's eight-way. Yeah. And so you're seeing yourself from 8 different perspectives. Yeah. You're learning about a challenge that you might be running into or an opportunity you're looking to grow from 8 different perspectives. And you're seeing your blind spots in a different way. You're also seeing how other people show up in relationship to other human beings. And that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier of the microcosm. Like that is the world in which we live. Like every person is part of many systems. Yeah. And so to have a coaching space that is organized around a group is giving you, it's like the best gym you could go to for your leadership, because you're getting reps in a place that is safe, but not too comfortable that you're not growing. Yeah. And allows you to develop the areas that like, ooh, this might feel really scary to bring that to my actual team right now because there's stakes and there's reputation and there are outcomes and things I need to deliver on. So like my practicing is not first priority, but here it can be.
And I think, there's another analogy to this in sports where if you think of a soccer team, Can you imagine if all of the athletes on the field only practiced with one-on-one coaches?
It's so perfect.
Can you imagine? They would get together, they would go to the games, and they'd be on a field, and they would not know how to engage with one another. They wouldn't know how to work as a team. And practice doesn't mean that you're only practicing with the people you play with in the game. No, you practice with the broader squad. You might practice with other people because you're learning how to engage with others and engage with others as part of that learning.
Yeah, I agree. And I love the analogy. I feel like that of the soccer team. I really think for me, it drives home the cohesion piece you were
Yeah.
talking about, the ability to navigate a field of work, whatever your field of work is, with cohesion, clear communication, understanding of what strengths you have, what strengths I have, and how to leverage those and spot those is invaluable.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting. Now at Medley, we serve and work with, people who are as senior as C-1 of Fortune 500 companies, and as junior as, they've been working for 1 or 2 years. And I strongly believe that group coaching isn't just for people of a certain level. The group experience has to be different, but there's a right group experience for leaders at every level.
Totally. So moving into this new year, how do you see Medley as a transformation partner for organizations?
Some of the most impactful work that we've done to date has actually been in driving transformation for our clients. And so as we look ahead, I see that, being an area where Medley really continues to move the needle. Because what we're seeing is that when an organization is going through significant change and looking to completely transform their operating model, and perhaps, whether they're restructuring or have a new org strategy or whatever that might be, there's a critical need to actually empower and enable leaders to adapt their styles in a new operating model. And when you think about ways to really do that at scale, group coaching and Medley's cohort-based approach is really the best way to do it. And so, we're kicking off a program right now, as you know, where we are, over the next 3 years, actually supporting several layers of leaders within the organization, and really cascading insights from each level to the next over a meaningful time frame, because the company recognizes that in order for them to have a comprehensive and cohesive employee experience and really impact the system, they need to do that in a comprehensive way. And fragmented programs or spot coaching or sort of learning platforms aren't going to be the answer. And at Medley, we actually have a design process where we will go deep with our clients, design a comprehensive multi-year program, and bring that to life via our group coaching, some one-on-one coaching, some peer coaching, and workshops in a comprehensive way. But I'm excited heading into next year to be able to do that work with more partners who are really looking for an integrated, creative partner to create an incredible and powerful experience for their employees.
How can people, leaders, and companies that are interested in working with Medley get in contact with us or work with us?
We are always excited to engage with different talent leaders at organizations. So if you are leading talent at an organization, you can reach out to us directly on our website or my LinkedIn. We'd love to share more about what we do at Medley, but more importantly, learn about what you're solving for and what you're hoping to accomplish heading into 2026.